Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today is the 17th of February 2021. Alright everyone, let's get into the news from the last 24 hours. So before we jump into the news, actually, I did want to talk about the recent kind of price movements with ETH. And, Ben from Into the Cryptoverse posted this tweet here, basically having a bunch of arrows pointing to where people usually whine about the ETH price. And this is the weekly chart here. And it's kind of funny to see because I'm getting this as well. Like, I have people messaging me and they're kind of like, why is ETH stuck in this 17 to 1800 range while BTC, is over 50K? When's ETH going to over 2K? All that sort of stuff, right? And I get it. In crypto, we kind of had like a very short-term outlook considering how fast the prices tend to move. And I think, if you zoom out, you can actually see just how fast we've actually gone up, right? This is about a year's worth of the Ethereum chart, I think. And if you take $100 as like, I guess, the bottom of this chart here, and then to today, which is at $1,800, ETH's gone up 18 times in just under a year, which is a crazy price movement, right? I mean, sometimes I think to myself, like, what more do people kind of want? And I get it, right? We always all want number to keep going up. But if you look at this chart, ETH is still in a kind of like rise here, right? It's still following this line that Ben's drawn here. And if I go to the chart myself here and I look at like the weekly chart, like fully zoomed out from when ETH first started trading, you can actually see, just how kind of bullish it is. Like, even the bear market doesn't look that bad anymore, right? That drop from 1400 to 80 sort of thing, right? Doesn't look very bad. And then, yeah, I always like to zoom out, and even just like going to the monthly chart as well. Like, look at that, right? I mean, that's just beautiful. We went through this whole kind of thing and catapulted back up. And this is kind of, I'm not really much of a trader or a chartist myself, but at the same time, when I look at this, like, I can't be bearish, right? Look at it, we're going up. We're at 1814 at time of recording. It's really, really great. And this is the monthly chart, right? So obviously this covers like 4 or 5 years of trading here. But at the same time, just going back to I guess even the daily chart here, right? If I kind of like zoom in here, you can see that even though we've been trending, I guess, sideways for the last, like 8 days or something like that. Look at just before that, look at January, right? January was only last month, like about 6 or 7 weeks ago. We were at $764. And now we're at like 1800. I mean, yeah. So I know that I've spoken about this before and about the importance of zooming out when it comes to price, because I mean, you can always get caught up in, looking at the price every day, checking it every day, staring at the charts and thinking to yourself, ETH's doing nothing, right? ETH's not moving. ETH's just like a stable coin, when in reality, it's been moving up for like a while now, right? Like, I just showed you the chart before from Ben, and his chart basically goes back to here on the left, right? So this part on the left here, and then, you kind of like get that price rise there, and it's just been trending up, right? We do have dips here and there, and of course we do, right? This one was pretty brutal. It went to 480, then down to like 300 or whatever. But in general, it's just trending up, and I don't expect that to stop. Honestly, I'm still very, very bullish for lots of different reasons that I've gone through before. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to make a note there because I've got a few messages about this lately, and I always just tell people to zoom out. That's all I can say, really. I can't really kind of say anything else. I can't say like, oh, don't worry about it. He's going to 10K. I mean, I do say that because I believe that's going to happen, but I'm not going to tell you when that's going to happen because obviously I don't know, right? And, it's always going to be a bumpy ride. It's not just going to be straight up. It's never been straight up. I mean, even if we go to the weekly chart, right, the only time that it's like straight up with absolutely no kind of like cooldowns is a few weeks at a time, even in bull markets. You can see in 2017 on kind of the left here. And then that's not sustainable. Like, I personally would rather see like this slow movement up than an explosive move up, because every single time we have an explosive move up, it comes down just, pretty violently. Like, look at this one. For those of you in 2017, you remember from April, we're at $50, April 2017. We went to what, 420 or something like that. Then we came down to like 120. Right, after doing that. So 50, 420, 120 in a matter of, I think it was like 2 or 3 months here. Like, I don't like that. I hate that, to be honest. That's the thing I actually hate the most about crypto, is this explosive kind of moves up, and then you just know that it's going to come back down, right? So yeah, I'd rather just have these slow kind of movements up. And yes, it's a bit annoying because you keep staring at the price every day and you're like, ugh, this is so slow, right? But again, it's way healthier. We don't have to go through such brutal drops in the price sort of thing. So yeah, just something to keep in mind for sure. So Coinbase officially announced their ETH2 staking system is going to be coming soon. I think very soon. I saw in the comments somewhere, and you can join the waitlist here. Now, I wrote about this in the Daily Gwei newsletter today. Obviously, this is a totally centralized staking provider, right? This is not, like staking on your own or anything like that. It's completely custodial, and it comes with all those sort of risks. But the benefits you get, are pretty alluring, right? You don't have to run your own software or hardware. You don't have to have the minimum 32 ETH. Don't have to worry about securing your own setup, right? There is like a cut that Coinbase takes, which is 25% of the 7.5% APR that you'll be making, which is a pretty sizable cut to be honest, right? But still, right, that you are kind of outsourcing your staking to them. So yeah, there are a lot of benefits there for sure, and it's like kind of one click as well. But at the same time, it doesn't help the network to stake with a centralized party. Now, if you don't have the 32 ETH minimum required to stake, I don't blame you for using a centralized party, and I don't blame you for kind of like not wanting to lock up, I guess, your kind of ETH in ETH2 until the merger happens. That's totally fine. But at the same time, I think if you have the means to do so, if you have the hardware, right, to do so, getting set up is very easy. And you got to have the 32 ETH minimum as well. And you got to be comfortable kind of locking it up, right? And, a lot of people are comfortable with that. There's millions of ETH stake that is not part of staking services that is locked up. And people are fine with that. I think because they're just long-term ETH holders. They didn't plan to sell that ETH anyway. I mean, I have a never sell ETH stack that I've got. Like, it's a certain percentage of my ETH that I plan to always hold on forever. No matter how crazy the market is or how brutal it is, I'm just never going to sell it, and it's going to be permanently in staking. And that's what I've sent over to staking to do so myself. So, yeah, just a little note there. There's more details in today's Daily Gwei newsletter about this, but just wanted to make sure that you kind of like, even though this is very alluring, I think it's very, very important for you to stake on your own, for the health of the network, right? Keeping the network decentralized. Even though it might be, harder than just delegating your staking to Coinbase or something like that, I think it's just very important. And, if you have the means to do so, definitely do it. And I think by now, if you already had the 32 ETH and everything like that, you're probably already staking. But for those maybe on the fence about it, I mean, the APR, I think, is at like, 10% still or something like that. So it's very, very nice return on your kind of ETH. I know you can get better than that in DeFi, but there's like way more risks as well. So yeah, just something to consider. And I don't, as I said, I don't blame you for wanting to use centralized kind of services to stake. Like, I mean, building the ETH2 network, we can't just assume that everyone is going to be altruistic and everyone's going to be like, like a cypherpunk and want to just I guess like stake on their own, right? And care about the decentralization of the network. That's not how you build resilient kind of crypto networks. So, but I mean, I can still encourage people to stake on their own. And there's plenty of guides out there. You'll find them in today's Daily Gwei newsletter. I included a link to a few there. As I said, it's not hard to get set up on your own. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in doing, definitely go give that a look. So Ether.cards. So this actually came out the other day, I think February 13th. And I had it in one of my tabs on Chrome, and I have like a million tabs open, so I forgot to cover it on the 13th on that refuel. So I want to cover it today, and I kind of put a tweet out before saying that people are sleeping on Ether.cards, and I think they are. So let's go over what this is. So Ether.cards, I mean, has been around for a while. They kind of are relaunching now as an NFT kind of gamification framework, they're calling it. But they've been around for a while as kind of like these physical cards you could get that acted as like an Ethereum wallet. I've got some somewhere in my house, amongst the many things that I've got here. I haven't been able to find it. I actually was looking for it earlier today, but they're really cool little cards. But what they've done now is they've actually rebranded to an NFT platform here. So you can go to their website. You can see they're actually launching in about 14 days, 21 hours, which is March 4th. So not too long now. But what I found really interesting about this is it's not just your regular kind of NFT kind of trading card game or card game kind of platform. What they're actually building here goes far beyond that. And you have to kind of dig into the docs to actually see. And they've got the docs here. You can go check it out yourself. I won't, go through them today. But basically, it allows kind of people to spin up their own kind of like cards here and give them like different attributes and stuff like that. So for example, there's an example here of a card that has different attributes tied to it. So if you click on this here, this is like the bingo attribute, so or the trait they call them. So it says here, the bingo trait is a free service trait. It lets you create bounties and bingos for free. Now, what bounties and bingos are is that they're part of the kind of NFT framework here, and they're like little games built into this platform, which is all explained in the docs as well. But, you know, there's also other traits like, you know, you can get a 1%, this is a 1% royalty trait, which basically entitles you to 1% of all the revenue collected by the Ether.cards contract, so by this service, which I thought was really cool. Now, like going beyond this, I think NFTs in general need more utility, right? You need to bring more utility to kind of like, I guess, not just the in-game items that people are using, but also a lot of the art. You know, there's a lot of NFTs that are just like art pieces, right? And I understand why people value them, but there's so much more we can do with NFTs. We can put utility attached to them. Like I just explained to you, these traits are basically adding utility to these NFTs. And you know, you can even go beyond this, and you can think about how this enables things like, imagine you holding a certain NFT card in your hand, and it entitles you to trading fee discounts on, you know, Uniswap or something like that, right? Where, you know, you get like 0.05% off all your trades because you hold this card. And this card is not like it's available to everyone. It's like a rare card. And because of that, it'll be valued very highly, right? Because who wouldn't want trading fee discounts on Uniswap, especially arbitrages? They'd love that. So you could start assigning this stuff as like the project yourself, and assigning these kind of like rare traits to them in order to kind of like, I guess, I mean, drum up usage. It's marketing, right? It's a really cool way to kind of get people more engaged with your app. So I'm hoping to see more of that happen. And actually using the Ether.cards platform, I think developers will be able to kind of like spin up their own stuff here as well. So, I mean, yeah, you can see here on the docs site, they kind of explain kind of what's going on here, and like the platform and the tokens and all this sort of stuff. I mean, they've got things like, for any of you who have done trading cards before, you remember like kind of blind bags where you can buy these bags and they would have a random amount of kind of these cards that you could have. There's like these kind of like mini games like bingos, bounties, raffles. You know, with raffles you can actually take an NFT and split it up into like 10 pieces, and then raffle off each then sell raffle tickets, and then, you know, the raffle tickets win a piece of kind of each a piece of this NFT, which I thought was another really cool way to monetize NFTs. And then you have like death matches where you can like battle other people, and the loser kind of like burns that NFT, so it kind of adds deflationary pressure to kind of the NFTs. So yeah, I mean, what they're creating here is pretty awesome, I thought. And like when I kind of looked into it properly, I was like, you know, you can take this so far, like especially with this traits thing. I mean, I'm just like kind of spitballing here of what you can do with it, but you can do so much more than like I've even said today. And I think projects that embrace this are going to get like some really great hype and usage behind their project, because, you know, people can be trading cards saying, oh wow, your card has this trait on, I really want that because, you know, I use SushiSwap a lot, or I use Uniswap a lot, right? So I think that's going to be very appealing to people. But anyway, go check this out yourself. It's linked in the YouTube description, or you can go to Ether.cards and you can view the whole thing here. As I said, they're launching on March 4th. I think you'll be able to buy like the different cards as part of a sale. I'm not sure exactly how much they're going to be. I'm sure they're like somewhere here, maybe on the tokens page or something like that. But anyway, yeah, that'll go live on March 4th, and I'm sure there's going to be a rush for this. Like, NFTs are so hot right now, right? Just sounded like someone from Zoolander there. But yeah, in general, like, they're so hot right now, and I think adding utility to the NFTs is just way better than a lot of the stuff we have now. I mean, I get why CryptoPunks are valuable, you know, I get why other NFTs are valuable, but, you know, if we just stopped at that, I would be really sad. I think there's such a huge design space here, and I think that Ether.cards is just like the first step. There's going to be others that spin up as well, but I'm really, really excited to see where people take this, because, I mean, it's just so much you can do with this. But anyway, I'll digress there for now. I mean, the reason why I'm so excited is because I'm a trading card collector myself. I have a massive Pokemon card collection, and, you know, they didn't really have much utility to them either, unfortunately. I mean, I never really played the game itself. And they're not digital, obviously. So you're basically taking that, having really cool art on the cards, making them rare and collectible, and then adding all these awesome traits that you can use within like DeFi and other Ethereum apps, which I thought was really cool as well. So yeah, definitely go give this one a look. So interesting tweet from antiprosynth today. So he compared the two quote unquote blue chip public networks by metrics, or public blockchain networks by metrics. So that obviously being Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the cash flow on ETH is actually 2.5 times higher than BTC. The fee demand is 4.4 times higher, and the value capture of DeFi is 750 times higher. I mean, this 52 million for BTC is actually taken as Lightning Network. So if you consider Lightning Network DeFi, it counts. But I don't know if I would consider Lightning Network kind of like, I mean, it is DeFi, but at the same time, it's kind of like not. But whatever, I digress there. It doesn't matter. I just thought that was funny. But I mean, I've spoken about it before, but what's really striking to me is this fee demand here from this site, cryptofees.info. I mean, ETH has been above Bitcoin for a long time now. I think it's been months now since Ethereum's been up there. And obviously the high fees are not great for end users, and I've spoken about that endlessly on the Refuel before, so I'm not going to rehash it there. But yeah, I mean, I just think that's just amazing, right? And the cash flow, like the money, like this site called moneymovers.info, which shows you like money moving on the Ethereum network versus the Bitcoin network as well, which is, you know, been above Bitcoin for quite a while too, right? You can see here. And then DeFi value capture. I mean, I don't have to go into that either. And then, you know, looking at this, I just kind of think to myself, like, Ethereum is so undervalued, right? As compared to Bitcoin, right? In terms of network usage. And, you know, at the same time, I'm kind of sad that the value doesn't translate more from network usage to ETH. And I think this is one of the reasons why people are so bullish on EIP-1559, just the fee burning mechanism. Now, obviously, you know, 1559 comes with a ton of other benefits. One major benefit being like a much better fee market for Ethereum. But, you know, people like to latch on to the fee burning mechanism because that, you know, theoretically is going to drive more value to ETH. And it should, because if we're not going to burn all these fees, like this is 24-hour fees, we're not going to burn all of this. It burns a portion of it, but that's still a lot of ETH being burnt each day. Like, even if, say, only $5 million worth of ETH is getting burnt each day from this fee demand, which is 1/5, right? Which I actually think it's going to be more than that. But let's just say, for example's sake, it's just 5 million here. You know, that's a lot of ETH, right? That's being burned each day, and burned, like not just going into cold storage, not just being in someone's wallet, literally burned out of existence, right? So, you know, from that perspective, it's like people aren't kind of like pricing in 1559 right now. And I put a tweet out the other day saying, if you're waiting for 1559 to be implemented, which I've speculated on the Refuel before that I think is going to be in July or August this year, again, pure speculation there, don't have any kind of info on that, but if you're waiting until that happens, I mean, I can see ETH being much higher than what it is today by that point. And I just think that people are still not pricing in how much kind of like ETH is going to be burned here. And it doesn't have to be like a lot each year. Even if we only get to 0.5% of this ETH being burned each year, you know, that's actually a lot, 0.5% of the total supply. Even if it was just like 0.1% or something like that, you know, when in ETH2, when the merger happens, the overall issuance collapses. Like the issuance right now is around 4% a year of new ETH going to miners. In ETH2, it's going to be under 1%, pretty much, like probably under 0.5%, depending on how much ETH is staking. So from that perspective, you have like all this ETH locked up in ETH2, right? The issuance basically collapses. You have, you know, on the low end, probably 0.1% of ETH being burned, right? Of all ETH being burned a year. It's probably going to be higher than that. You have like all the ETH locked in DeFi. You have all the ETH locked in like things like the Grayscale Investment Trust, people's cold storage, right? All this sort of stuff. And then you kind of think like there's just going to be a sell side kind of liquidity crisis for ETH, right? It's not just going to be much ETH to go around. So yeah, anyway, they don't want to pump up ETH too much there, but I just think it's insane how undervalued ETH is compared to Bitcoin, considering that we've pretty much flipped Bitcoin in every conceivable metrics at this point, except market cap. So I think, you know, there's definitely going to be a repricing event in store, and it's going to take longer than we would like because there's a lot of both misinformation and information asymmetry out there where, you know, people don't exactly know why ETH should be valuable still, because it's kind of harder to explain than kind of like just selling a narrative of there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin sort of thing. But we'll get there. I'm pretty confident that we will get there. All right, so BisonTrails put out a really exciting kind of, I guess, new product today called the Global Blockchain Sync. Now, Victor Bunin explains exactly what you can do with this here, which I thought was pretty cool. You can spin up an Ethereum archival node in about 12 hours, and then BisonTrails will basically manage all the maintenance, the upkeep, and upgrades so that you never have to worry about it, essentially. And no, this is not a sponsored spot or anything like that. I am friends with Victor, and but I really do like what BisonTrails is doing here. For those who don't know, they're like an infrastructure provider, and for them to be able to provide you with like an archival node within 12 hours, I think is pretty good, because to sync one of these nodes yourself, it takes a lot longer than 12 hours, let me tell you. I think it takes a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depending on your hardware, right? And for those who don't know, what an archival node gives you, it basically gives you the history of the entire blockchain from Genesis, and it lets you query it for anything. So say you wanted to query the balance of your address at, you know, I don't know, it's sometime in 2017, right? Your historical balance. You can do that with an archival node, whereas an Ethereum full node won't let you do that without basically going back and kind of recomputing that those kind of transactions back then. But the way it works is that you can actually reconstruct an archival node from a full node, because obviously, you know, an archival node also takes up a lot of storage space. Well, it's like well into the terabytes of storage space, but whereas a full node is a few hundred gigabytes, you can still recreate an archival node from a full node. And you may have seen this argument on Twitter over the years between like archival versus full. The main difference really is that a full node still gives you the same security guarantees. It still verifies everything. It still kind of tells you that the network is running as it should and everything is fine, but it won't give you that historical balances, right? But in reality, you don't really need the historical balances most of the time, right? For things like, you know, you only care about those things maybe for accounting purposes, like for tax purposes. And, you know, something like Etherscan is fine for that, or another Ethereum block explorer. But the fact that you can actually just spin up one in about 12 hours using BisonTrails now, I thought that was really, really cool. So kudos to them on getting this out there. You know, it's not free. I'm pretty sure you have to pay for it. But again, like doing this yourself takes many weeks. You know, you need like terabytes of storage to do this. And it can actually be quite annoying, because depending on your hardware, it can get stuck, right? Because it's just a very, very heavy thing to compute. So yeah, but you know, an Ethereum full node isn't. Ethereum full node is pretty easy to run. So you know, if you want to run a full node, you can go do that and get you know, kind of synced very quickly, especially with the various snap syncs and stuff like that. So yeah, good to see this coming out of BisonTrails here. So another app is heading onto StarkWare's layer 2. So this will be Badger. So Badger DAO, for those who don't know, is I guess like a yield aggregator for BTC products mainly. So what they're actually doing with StarkWare is they're bringing a ZK rollup AMM to StarkWare that is dedicated to trading between like tokenized Bitcoin. So this is really cool to see. Badger's actually quite large. They've got billions of TVL, for those who don't know. And it's good to see them heading to layer 2 as well, right? I think as I've said like many times, so many more projects are heading to layer 2, right? And the more that head there, the more that kind of will head there, because they'll be like, oh, we're gonna get left behind if we don't go to layer 2. So really, really cool to see this. I don't think that it's live yet. No, it's not live today or yet. But I don't assume this is going to be very far away. StarkWare's tech is ready. You know, they already have Diversify live on their tech. They have a bunch of other things they're launching soon. I mean, DYDX is going to use them. And for those who don't know, StarkWare is basically, I mean, as their name implies, is very specialized in Starks, and they're building ZK rollup technology, whereas something like Optimism is building optimistic rollup technology. So yeah, those are the kind of the key differences there. But yeah, really great to see this. I hope to see more kind of these DeFi apps kind of move to layer 2. It's inevitable, right? They're all moving to layer 2. It's just, we need to get it done this year. I don't think the teams and the apps can wait anymore. I don't think users can wait anymore. You know, I as I've said before in the refuel, I think gas fees are fine. You know, for like high gas fees are fine in the short term in order to encourage the ecosystem to scale and go to layer 2. But in the long term, you know, if the gas fees on Ethereum remained what they are today, and we had no kind of layer 2 ecosystem, we had no scaling coming, you know, we had none of this stuff, then Ethereum would bleed users to other chains. You know, Ethereum's network effect would slowly diminish, and I think eventually Ethereum would kind of die out. But that's not the case today, and that's why I'm not bearish on Ethereum at all. Is that it's evolving, right? It's still changing, it's still upgrading, and there's nothing to worry about from that angle. So really great to see Badger and StarkWare teaming up here. All right, last up, we have a tweet from Trent Van Epps here that basically says a short list of EIP-1559 benefits. So the first benefit is more predictable fees, which will reduce the overpayment of fees and give a better user experience. Now, I want to be clear, this does not mean that fees are going to get lower. I've said multiple times that 1559 will not have a meaningful impact on the fees in terms of the cost, but it will give more predictable fees. So instead of you accidentally overpaying on fees, which you would do a lot of the time, it smoothens out the fee and the whole mechanism so that people don't really overpay here. The second one is it removes the incentive for reorgs in fee-heavy environments. Now, this is a kind of a technical thing. There's actually a paper, I think, down here somewhere in this thread that Trent linked that basically explains what this means. The TLDR is that essentially if you have a fee-heavy network, so where the fees actually outstrip the block reward for miners, it can lead to some perverse incentives. So go give that paper a read. It's in the thread here somewhere, so I'll link the thread in the YouTube description. So yeah, I won't kind of like go into the details on that one for now. Thirdly, it cements primacy of ETH with base fee burn, and the cost of economic abstraction, MEV, goes up. So what this basically means is that right now, if miners wanted to, they can go out of band and include transactions into a block for either free or charging people something other than ETH to do so. So if you knew a miner or a mining pool and you said to them, hey man, can I get my transaction in this block and I'll pay you like 100 USDC to do it, right? Or 100 USD or whatever, right? Whatever money it is, I'll pay you this. They could do that, right? That is entirely possible for them to do. And they could do it for free as well. We've seen miners include transactions without fees before. So what EIP-1559 does is it basically makes it so that you have to pay ETH for the base fee. You can't get around that. You can't pay any other token for that. It has to be ETH. So even if this transaction went out of bounds, right, and kind of like went around, the mining pool or miner would still have to pay the base fee in ETH, and then they could pocket the difference in the other token. But, ETH is still have to be paid at some point. The fourth one is it will allow in-protocol congestion oracle. Now, what this means is that smart contracts can actually tap into this mechanism and be able to kind of have more predictable, I guess, like gas prices because of it, which means that they can kind of, as an example, you could have like a roll-up or like a layer 2 roll-up wanting to kind of checkpoint to the main chain, and they can actually use this congestion oracle to find out when the cheapest time to do that is. Or they can do it for like fraud disputes as well and things like that. This is more on the technical side of things, but it is a very major upgrade when used right. And then the fifth one here that Trent kind of appended to his tweet was that the base fee burns enable net zero, possibly negative issuance while maintaining the same long-term security properties reached with consistent block rewards, meaning ETH becomes an even powerful asset. Now, this is what I was talking about before, about how in ETH2, ETH's annual issuance rate drops a lot, right? Drops to under 1%, hopefully around 0.5%. And then coupled with a fee burn, and depending on how large that fee burn is, we could literally see a new ETH issuance each year be negative zero. So literally there'll be more ETH being burned than issued each year, which leads to a deflationary ETH, which no other blockchain currently has out there, right? Bitcoin does not have this. It will not have this. Even when it reaches the cap, it will not have a fee burn unless they've put it in. I think they might. I mean, I think this model for security is better than what they are kind of relying on, which is just fee revenue in general. But I won't kind of go into that for now. But I think that's very powerful as well. So really, really great tweet from Trent here. I really liked how well he put it here. And yeah, 1559 is literally just like one of the best upgrades to come to Ethereum, not just for the ETH kind of fee burn, but for all these other benefits. I actually think the ETH burn is the least interesting thing of 1559, if I'm being honest. I actually think without it, ETH price would be fine, but I think it just adds another layer on top of an already amazing upgrade to the network. All right, that's it for today, everyone. Thank you again for listening and watching. Give that video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, join the Discord server, subscribe to the newsletter, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.